And welcome to another edition of Calling the Audible as we wrap up week 3 and preview week 4. We're now 31 or 29% done for the season since we're
Eagle, look that up.
Do the math, please, Eagle?
If you're talking about like doing 2 over 11?
Yeah.
Well, no, the exact amount of games
3 over.
played.
But that's exactly,
Versus
yeah, why
exact-
would you ever do math based on weeks? You do number of games, Mo.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
So how many games have we played so far?
I don't know.
Come on, Eagle.
You're the head
Eagle, do
scorekeeper.
something.
You should know.
Eagle,
Does
do
sound like
something,
production
please.
duty, though.
All right, so welcome to
Hard it
Calling
is
the
to actually
Audible,
do
another
that.
week with Peeze, Della, Reeze, Eagle, and I, as we recap the week and preview what's coming up as we are now midway through July and the weather will get warmer. And definitely we're starting to see some trends develop in all the divisions across the board.
You say
And
weather might get warmer, but they were talking about fire tornadoes out west, so maybe not that warm.
No, hopefully not. That's another story for another day. But you know, we were going to have some warm weather this weekend, and we do have outdoor games on Friday in Laval, and of course on the weekend in Lachine. That might get a little bit warm inside that complex for those who have games there. But let's dive into it, I guess, in terms of what we did. We had the game of the week, which was the Cannoli Bowl, which featured Hot Sauce Sports against Lockdown. The loser had to buy cannolis, as you can see from the highlights here from Laval Field 2. It was
a loser
a
from
beautiful
last
night.
game, actually, and Eagle lost that game. And,
It was a beautiful night, though.
Eagle will have to buy the cannoli again next time around. It's 2 straight.
They were good cannolis, though.
They were excellent. A lot even.
So,
Not even a sponsor. They just make great cannolis.
So if we put a poll question, what was more likely to happen? Eagle getting 2 touchdown receptions and a sack, or Peeze throwing for 350 and no INTs? Who do you think wins that vote?
What's more likely?
The no INTs makes it a discussion. The no INTs makes it a discussion.
Yeah, like I barely play offense to begin with, so that's already unlikely. I barely catch the ball, which is also unlikely, and I never catch touchdowns. So all 3 of those combined, like I was telling Rob, I basically hit an inside the park grand slam.
Was your last touchdown catch the one I threw you when One Speed Power?
Maybe.
I think I threw you your last touchdown, actually.
Well, Eagle, I digress. It's more like a bunt grand slam that you have.
Or like the one that Babe Ruth hit where he hit the ball really high.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the infield and he just made it around the bases. No, to be honest, I was so like the first touchdown Eagle. You run. I think it was just a smash out, and defender took a bad step, and whatever. Like that's a play call touchdown. Anybody could have caught that touchdown. It's fine. The second touchdown, I was actually really impressed because you were manned up with Matthew Chadwick, who's got 50 pounds and 6 inches on you. And you use your body to sort of shield him away and then break out your route to go get the ball. And I was like, that's a smart play by Eagle. And man,
I know it was sideline too, so I had to tickle-toe it a little bit.
We have not stopped making fun of Chadwick. Like I keep messaging. I told him that night. I was like, dude, you're not going to sleep this week. You let Eagle catch 2 touchdowns on you.
Man, look at Eagle, like what's worse, the hip thrust by Alex Hollowak in that no regard preview, or Eagle doing the bird dance with his wings?
It looked better in my mind when I did it.
So does my throwing motion, by the way.
Oh man! Anyway, it was from my perspective because I score kept the game. It was really good. I mean, it was high scoring. There weren't many quicksand offensive drives. It was pretty effective. A lot of big plays from both sides. A lot of trash talking from both sides. A war of attrition on top of that with guys going down, in particular to lockdown guys. But I just thought it was a good game. And look, even though Hot Sauce Sports had a 10-point lead, lockdown came back, needed a game, right? But just couldn't find the kill shot when needed to. And at the end of the day, you wonder if this loss for lockdown might prove consequential if they're going to get that last playoff spot or a lower seed in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think the part that, I don't care about my record as much. What I really like is Game of the Week is back, right? So Chris Reeve did a great job with this one. I like the new style, like these stills and everything to blow up the players, and new scoreboard, new graphics. We're trying some new things this year. So definitely let us know what you think about it. Oh, this ball piece.
It was on target. It was my receiver, nobody.
It was dropped in there like a dime.
But I mean, let us know what you think about the new style and everything. And we'll be bringing these games every week. If you're not familiar with it already, join our Facebook group, which is a player community. We post a poll where you can vote on the different games based on whatever Chris's schedule is to go film. So vote on whichever one you want to go watch. And
who won this week? Was it Trailer Park Boys who won this week?
I think it's still going, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, check it out. If it's still going, check it out
do a live
on
update.
Facebook. Yeah,
Let's do a
Facebook.
live update. That won't be live because the show's not live.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's do it live, Eagle.
Of course.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's. I've always said for Game of the Week that it should be a recruitment tool for for people to send to like other friends, be like, "Yo, you got to check out this league I play and it's awesome." It shouldn't look like game film because that's boring. And both, I always give credit to Lance for this. Lance really helped capture that vision that we had, like as a league in general, and take it to that next level. And him and Chris have done a great job.
Here it is, by the way.
Absolutely.
Wait for it. There we go.
That's the one. That's the touchdown grab. That's the one where I was on the sideline with Sean, and I was like, "Yo, Eagle, that's a great catch."
You know what? I made a couple of background appearances there with my blue jacket.
You did.
Look at that, eh? So we all made an appearance in the Game of the Week here, some shape or form. But every week on the Facebook site, we'll have the vote.
Yeah.
As,
so where are we at now, Eagle, with the vote? So did you get it up?
I'm looking right now. Just take a look at it. Because we talked about it, me, you, and Mo are also going to be featured in Lance's documentary. So last plug on that. Feel free to go check out #NoRegard at
tomorrow.
Cinemax Scotia. Tonight, if you're watching this the day of.
That's true.
So that's
Thursday. It's Thursday.
So go check that out and everything and take a look at it. And I can't. Oh, there we go. The poll ends now. Because, again, by the time you're watching this, it might be done already. But right now, Trailer Park Boys versus Rainmakers is leading by 9 votes, but definitely go vote on the different stuff.
That'll be a fun game. That'll be a fun game. Rainmakers haven't scored more than 3 touchdowns in the game, and what's it called? The Trailer Park Boys have also a very aggressive defense. And I'm realizing I don't know if they scored more than 3 touchdowns this week because I haven't written my article yet. I'm starting it tonight.
Well, I saw the Rainmakers play a little bit on Monday in Broadside. You can see Derek Casher taking steady steps as a quarterback now. I mean, he's a lot more comfortable now than where he was. In fact, if you look at the targets for receivers, I believe he has 2 of the top 5, not top 6 players who have the most targets up until now.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the conversion rate of receptions to targets, not as successful. But you can see, though, that he's not afraid, that he's letting the ball go, allowing his playmakers to try and make something out of nothing and not taking sacks or throwing the ball away. So I think that's a progress step for him. I think for Rainmakers, if they do win this Game of the Week, this would be a great chance for people to see who they are with Derek Castor as a quarterback for that team.
To be honest, I'd like that. I like that he's spraying the ball out more because we saw his first season, he targeted his brother a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ryan Kastner's snapping, right?
I believe he is, yes. I vaguely remember. Yeah, I think he is because his top receiver was on the left-hand side of the formation, but I think he is snapping for Ryan. And he's also the de facto OC, right? So he's his eyes.
So I know that when I started playing, and I still target my snapper a lot, as you saw in Game of the Week, but I know that when I made the transition from snapper to quarterback, I sort of saw the playbook through the snapper. And I think that's what Derek Kastner was doing a lot of. The other thing that I will notice, though, that I have noticed about the team is that the Rainmakers' red zone offense and converts have been very poor. They're not efficient, and that's something that's going to harm them down the line. And I think this is the game where they're going to see that's going to be an issue because of the aggression on the Trailer Park Boys defense.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at Derek's menu right now, it's not as in depth, right? We know when you go to a restaurant, there's like 10 pages of options, right? This is more of a one page. Okay, this is what we have today. Yeah, this is what you're gonna get
specials,
right? Exactly, and then and once that is perfected, he'll have a second page to that menu. Maybe he becomes a better quarterback.
You know what the greatest food industry illusion is? This is actually my industry, so it's something I take great pride in. To me, the type of cuisine that best understood how to create a menu that will allow your restaurant to maximize profits, which is the goal of a restaurant, is Chinese food. They have 200 options, but really it's 5. It's chicken, beef, vegetarian, seafood, pork. And then all the other items are things that don't go bad. Rice, noodles, all that. It's ingenious. And you have vegetables, of course, that aren't very expensive. So it's the way to give the illusion of choice, but also keep your costs down to maximize profit. Genius.
I was gonna say breakfast food being the next one.
Breakfast food's up there as well, but breakfast food is actually quite complicated because you have a short shelf life on a lot of those items. Right. So if you don't have a lot of volume, it makes it more difficult.
It's a volume business.
Yeah, it is.
So speaking of volume business, so I saw in Division C on Monday.
I thought you were going to talk louder. Speaking of volume business.
Volume business.
Wait, are you changing the order on me?
No, we're just doing a quick recap here. Quick recap. This is a quick recap of games. Because look, we've dropped in the game of the week for this week, right? Which is likelihood going to be Rainmakers against Trailer Park Boys. Mm-hmm. But a game that really caught my attention quickly before we dive into the topics was Blue Dreamers against Siete, or South Harmon Institute of Technology. Mm-hmm. This was a fun game to watch because Matt Lepage was going at it with the Gomes boys and how they were going back and forth. Blue Dreamers were down by a couple of scores, and they made it a game late in the second half. When you look at South Harmon and how they played in their first game, they weren't that great, but much better effort from Jake Applebaum, who, as you can see, was 17 of 19, 5 TDs. But you look at our boy Alessandro Bellizzoni, he's starting to improve as a quarterback, and maybe he has the weaponry to work with, whether it is Anthony Seja, AJ Gomes, or Nick Rapini being three-headed monster that can really change the dynamics for this football team. This is a fun game, and it came down to the last possession. And unfortunately for Blue Dreamers, they came up short against South Harmon.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by the score, but I think that's just the kind of team that South Harmon Institute of Technology is. They're guys who they can surprise anyone on a given week. But I do think that if Blue Dreamers play this game sort of 10 times, they'll win 7 or 8 of these games. You know what I mean? Just from a talent level. Just from that perspective, because I think, like we know what the top guns are on South Harmon Institute of Technology. They have Matt Lepage, they have Jordan McInnes, but then like as much as I like a lot of the other guys, what Blue Dreamers have across the board is just speed all over the place, right? Like it's right. Tough to deal with.
No, for sure. Let's dive into the topics here for Division D as we open up Calling the Audible with this week's topics. Peeze, a team that's really caught my attention, I saw them play last week, are Blackouts. Mm-hmm. They're 3-0. I'm just curious because when I look at this is a team that's been in this league for a couple of years, in and out, mostly with winter season than it is in spring season. They're 3-0. I'm not sure. I'm going to ask you, are you convinced that this 3-0 start is going to lead to something? Because in theory, if you look at their schedule, they could be 7-0 by the time they meet PMS later on the season. And they took out a pretty decent team on Friday, led by Dan Lazara's team in Tuts and Parlays.
You ready for my first overreaction of the season, Mokan?
Wait a minute. Did you have one last week or 2 weeks ago?
Probably. This is my first one of the season, my official first overreaction of the season. I think Blackouts are the best team in the B conference of Division D. First of all, like they added Matthew Kazaka, right? So former part of my swag, now with them. The team already had a lot of talent. Ryan Vanslet is a guy who, if you don't know, you're going to know soon. Alexander Lille, of course, we know his athleticism. And Cristione. Cristione is a guy on both sides of the ball who's dangerous, and the ratings don't tell the whole story of his ability. They're also a very good low division defense, and I'll explain why. A lot of quarterbacks in Division D, present company included, don't have the strongest arms, right?
No.
And while you have guys who similar to myself, or even a guy like Brad Evans, for example, guys who have really good concepts, good playbooks, guys are tough to play against. What Blackouts are really good at doing is covering a lot of ground on a lot of ground. And I'll give you an example. In the first game when they played against Clinkers, Marc-Andre Desaulniers told me they had a 1-5 defense. So the two corners were dropping, right? He had a fly post combination called. So it's a post, it's a touchdown, except the defensive back covered the ground, got into trail position, and was able to knock down the ball from the receiver. Because again, quarterbacks in this division largely don't have these like really strong arms that can gun it in. And the ability to cover that in this division is key because that gives you a lot of flexibility on the defensive side. It allows you to mask a lot of your coverages. And they won that game with Mike Kazaka at quarterback. So that shows the versatility of this team. And I think that the speed on defense, I remember playing against them in their first season. I played against them in the fall when they beat us because, again, I had a lot of the same reactions that Marc-Andre Desaulniers had. We're like, oh, no, they got a lot better. And, my God, can they cover a lot of ground? And now I actually think their time's come. I think this is actually like a kind of a make it or break it season because I think all those ratings are going to go up very soon because we know Mike Kazaka, we know Chris Sione, we know Ryan Vance, that we know that these guys are talented and their stats are going to bear that out over time. And we're going to see this team struggle to stay in Division D. So I think this is kind of like a championship or bust season for them.
Yeah, they haven't given up more than 13 points in the game this year, right? I mean, they have a very good defense. They shut out Tuts and Parlays in the second half when it was a one-score game at halftime. They really play, like you said before, they cover every blade of grass or every blade of turf wherever they play. And the way they've gone, and now people are going to say, well, who have they beaten so far? Well, like we can't forecast. Like, look, FPF, we can't forecast who's the best team coming into each division, except for maybe the higher ends, right? And this division,
depending on how you want to do that, like if you look from a cap perspective, I can tell you who conceptually is the better team, but I mean that doesn't tell the full story.
But when you look at, say, the NFL, okay, every year they always, wherever you finish in the NFL, the previous year they always have a tougher schedule. So if you're first place team, you have a first place schedule. We can't criticize who they have in their schedule because that's what they have. Yeah. They could easily beat LBB next week. They could be Fightin Ilini in 2 weeks.
Tuts and Parlays is not a bad team. First of
all,
no,
they're not a bad
Secondly,
team. No, this had a bad game.
They destroyed PDs and Negronis. They allowed a single score. That's huge. And Clinkers, like we've seen Marc-Andre Desaulniers throw, 40 plus touchdowns in this division.
Yeah.
So like, we do joke around about him, but he's a capable quarterback, and that he always stacks his team. The team is always very good. And while I don't think it's the strongest version of the squad that he's had, they held him to 13 points.
And that's the thing, right? When you look at defenses, and I'll quickly before our next topic here, Peeze, yes or no, could they be 7-0 by the time they play PMS? Because they play Voodoo, they play LBB coming up. They got some winnable games.
Like Les Bleus Blancs are would like a word for best defense as well. And Voodoo, again, Frank K, when Frank K is on, there's literally nothing you can do to stop him.
And they blew their game last week. They blew their game last week. They lost the game when they had the lead on Sunday in Lachine. They blew that game.
Well, that's rare because, again, usually when Frank K is on, he's unbeatable. And I think also fighting Ilini, they lost this past week, but again, we've talked about how strong that team is, right? So Josh Feeder, he seems like he's going to be a streaky quarterback as he's still fairly new to the position. So I think that the talent eventually will carry him over. But I think they actually have challenges in the next 3 games.
So when you look at the new guys that defeated Fightin Ilini this past week, that defense
ironically are not new guys. It's all guys from the U.
Exactly, or whatever they're called in years past. But look, their defense played very well against Fightin Ilini. Nicky Papich is a quarterback that's developing. They can't go with our boy Joe K to be the quarterback for the season. Can this defense, Peasy, can they carry the workload until Nicky catches up to them or gets close enough in terms of the equal production value of what he brings as the quarterback and what they bring as a defense?
Nicky's annoying because he's one of these guys who's just a freak athlete, and then you have guys like me who keep trying to improve at quarterback, but instead, like, he's going to be so much better, so much quicker just because he's that good an athlete. But the defenses on this side of the bracket, Conference B, to me, all the elite defenses in Division D are there. Blackouts, new guys, Fightin Ilini. These are all teams, and like I said, Bleu Branlard have allowed only 44 points. That's 22 points in per game, right? Like that's formidable. And again, what I think their strength is actually creating turnovers more than it is limiting points. So you see them at 0-2, but they're still not an easy out, right? Like that's to me that's what the sort of identity of Conference B is going to be all season long.
Yeah, I look at new guys, and I've score kept their first 2 games. Their defense is humid. It's just so humid because it just annoys people.
Who's this?
With new guys.
New guys, yeah.
It's such a humid defense because they just wear on teams. Like they wear them out, right?
It's why I personally underestimated that group of guys for so long, is because they often don't have the big strikes. They can do it, but you're right. It's suffocating. It's that they control the pace of the game. They take a big strike when it's there. If not, they're good to just drive the field and not make mistakes. And that's what happens when you have a group of guys that play together for so long.
Right, and the confidence that they have in, say, our boy Joe K to drop as a safety, the last line of defense in a league tailored for high scoring offenses.
Yeah,
it just shows that no matter who's playing for them, the rapport that you mentioned before that they've developed has enabled them to do these type of exotic looks.
Yeah,
and as I said before, they're that humid defense where if you look at it, Peeze, after a long day of work where it's hot and humid outside, this sapped of energy. That's how the Fighting Tigers looked like after their loss to the new guys.
Mm-hmm.
They just look zapped of anything.
And you talk about Joe Cano, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we often talk about obviously like the 2 big guns on defense are Nicky Papich and Tim Horner, right? But Joe Cano, he's not the fastest guy, although he's faster than you'd think. But his instincts are incredible, and it allows Kyle Pedvis to do a lot of stuff in the flats where he creates a lot of mistakes in the flats for quarterback.
Let's not forget his innate talent of ripping hearts out of lizards.
That's true. We've often heard about that.
Lizards
and other Mortal Kombat contestants.
Maybe. Los Siete Amigos, they are 2-0. Should we be giving them more respect or hold off on the rose petals, Peeze?
I've been watching them since, I often write the article like I am for this season, writing for Division E, and I usually write for Division E, Division 6. I enjoy writing for the lowest division because it allows me to go on psychedelic roller coasters. But I've liked them from when they started. I thought that it was a team that they just didn't know a lot about FPF. They're kind of like really a team from the outside. And I always like Alex Fafard's arm. Alex Fafard, he can really let it rip. And we've seen him play. We've seen Ben Reed. Ben Reed, another guy who, again, came in with the Browns of Boucherville. Not a particularly good start to his FPF career. He was far from perfect, but he corrected a lot of his issues. And again, I was surprised when I first played against him. I was surprised at how well he can throw and how hard he can throw the ball at such a low division. Whoever's playing quarterback for them is going to be dangerous to face off against. They have a lot of great talent. Etienne Brisson, again, not a familiar name to a lot of people in FPF because he's mostly played Division E, Division 6. The guy is very, very good.
See, and the thing is, when they beat Voodoo on Sunday in Lachine, Fafard wasn't there.
Yeah,
it was Ben Reed throwing for them, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't look out of sync at all. And even though they were down in the game.
But they're the same kind of quarterback. They throw hard, they can move, they buy time.
But Fafard's better with his legs, I think. I think Fafard's better with his legs. He has a bit of a Tim Tebow.
Ben Reed can move. Like he doesn't do it often. He gets the ball out quick, but I've seen him buy time, and he's a good athlete, so he gets the time when he needs it.
I think for them, they got top season coming up this Sunday in Lachine.
Yeah.
And look, top season, we talked about them week 1 and how unpredictable they've been so far. I wonder if they do beat top season this Sunday and they become 3-0. They put themselves in that category of, okay, well, yeah, I think they might pull off an upset, not an upset too, but they might beat one of these better end teams because of the combination of what they have in offense being built upon for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I like I said, I like them a lot, and I have liked them since they started. I think a lot of them.
So kiss my what? Peeze. I know you wanted to bring this up in our production meeting here, so let's talk about kiss my what.
There was 2 things about the roster that
of Kiss My End Zone, right?
Kiss My End Zone. They're on my schedule, so obviously I looked at the roster right away. And there's 2 things with the roster that scared me. One was Josh Vasquez, when he's on his game, is a quarterback who just one of these guys who catches fire. And he'll complete 28 or 32 passes, and there's not a lot you can do. He's not that every game, but when he has those games, it's the most frustrating thing. Actually, that game where I threw that touchdown to you, we lost that game because Josh Vasquez was basically infallible. The other thing that scared me was one of my ex-teammates from my days with Darksiders or Moose or Dark Moose or whatever version of that team it was, is Jamil Springer. For those in the low divisions who don't know Jamil is an incredible two-way player. Those two guys, it's my understanding, are no longer on the team. Just unable to make games. It's summertime. Guys have other obligations. So they've been replaced. And it's Matt Dumont who's going to be taking over quarterback. And taking over for Jamil Springer is Jeremy White. So I want to ask you, Mo, what do you think? I know obviously the name power of Jamil Springer is obviously great, and we all know him. But we also know Jeremy White's ability as a two-way player and even having input as a quarterback and that ridiculous duck move that he does, which we still can't even find a rule to stop him from doing. But given that, and given that they're going to have these guys all season long, do you think it's A, pretty much the same caliber of team, B, a worse team, or are they better off with these pieces as the team is fully constructed?
I think they're better off with these two guys and Jeremy and Dumont being on the team, Jeremy White and Dumont being on the team. No, look, Jamil Springer is a fantastic player. We know what he is. But I just think that his flamboyance as a player may not mesh well with that core group in place.
Like I know I know other people have had different experiences. As a teammate,
he's great.
I loved having him on my team, and
Absolutely.
I didn't mind him getting we were the kind of personalities that you can get in our faces, and it's not going to make us upset. Like we'd be like, okay, that's what we need to do. We got this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it was that kind of group of guys. I don't know a lot of the guys pretty well. I know Alexi and Ignacio and Jonathan Harrod. They're all guys who pretty much will respond to criticism without batting an eye. I don't know the rest of the team. I don't know how they are. I don't know how they react. So in that way, maybe it is just an easier mesh because maybe guys are not used to that sort of higher division mentality, right?
Yeah, I think Josh Vasquez. You hit it perfectly, Peeze. Where when he's on, he's very good. When he's off, he's diarrhea. That's what he is. And I think now, moving forward, they can find themselves a proper identity for offense. It might take a week or two because, again, the transition of what they're going to go from Vasquez to what they're having now. And also, look, I think they have pieces there. Presser, the cornerback, who Eagle knows very well from week one. I mean, look, he can line up with the best of them size-wise, and he can play. He's not afraid of that. And if a guy like him can take away one side of the football field, it makes that defense even more dynamic to say, look, we don't have to worry about that right side. We can worry about everything else and force a quarterback to limit their options. So I think this could definitely help them. But the question now, Peeze, is that, look, we're through 3 weeks of the season. How quickly can they get this on the right track before they fall into a deeper hole and fighting for a low-end playoff spot than saying being in the middle of the pack of their division?
How many teams make the playoffs in Division D, Eagle?
Let me get the count for you. Probably 16.
Okay,
Let me check that to be sure.
So
the 12,
the bulk of the teams make
divisions.
the playoffs.
So 24 teams in total.
It's going to be 24 of the 28.
Jesus. Okay, so they'll
So
make the
top
playoffs.
4 get buys.
But so their next few games, Tough Lungs, Spears Legion, Hot Sauce Sports, Mean Girls, all competent teams, right? Like they're all teams who, despite potential flaws, are teams that are going to put up a fight. No one's going down easy.
No.
Like I don't see them going 4-0 in that span, right? Like
they're gonna
probably split that. They'll probably go 2-4, right? So they're gonna be 2-4 to start the season.
Yeah, and let's not forget Hot Sauce Sports, right? Take them out of the equation. Spears Legion, right? Mean Girls are all with either above or below Kiss My End Zone right now. So in a sense, that's sort of not like a playoff situation here, but you can sort of get that tiebreaker over those teams and create that separation.
Because we're only playing teams in our conference, these games are incredibly valuable.
Absolutely.
And so I think you're right. Like it is too early to be talking about playoff seeding, but definitely, if you lose to Tough Lungs and you lose to, let's say, Mean Girls, as an example, and you win the other 2 games, then those 2 teams are teams that may be slotted ahead of you because of those tiebreakers. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's, at that point, you're going to be hoping for 3-way ties, and 3-way ties might actually help them because, again, you see the point differential working in their favor because they have a very strong defense.
Right. Well, it's going to be fascinating how they play and how they adapt with these new additions here. But when we look at co-ed Peeze and we see what has happened to the Fighting Seth Galenas, being 0-3, being humbled by third down for what? I'm shocked. I am
picked
shocked.
Third down for what, actually, in that game.
Yeah, I know, but I thought it would be a lot more competitive from that standpoint, and they got ran through. Like there was no issues at all for third down for what? Yeah, on Sunday in Lachine.
So I haven't actually had the opportunity to see them in person yet this season, right? Because we can only be at X amount of places. We just haven't crossed paths. Seeing the strength of the roster, what has been the issue for Fighting Tigers?
I think it's their offense, man. Like I don't know what's happened.
But why? Like I obviously when you see the points scored, but why is that the case when you look at the team that has, again, all these familiar names of just Theo and Jamie Ojea? That alone should mean you score 30 points a game.
Yeah, you should.
But then why aren't they? Like, I'm looking for analysis here, Mo.
Well, no. And by the way, Theo didn't play in that game because he was reffing. So he wasn't allowed to officiate that game. But I just find that, for whatever reason, Seth Galena has not connected as well. I mean, already he's at 6 TDs, 8 INTs, and 3 sacks. And I just think he has not found his rhythm with his pass catchers. And I think teams have kind of figured out his game plan. And we've known Seth for a while now in this league, whether he's played co-ed or lower-end divisions as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. But his offense isn't going to be that air raid system where they quick strike it and go, and they can beat you in any shape or form here with whoever they have on the field. But I just think that from a roster personnel perspective, this is probably his most dynamic of what he has from different players across the board, his 5 pass catchers. And to not even be close in this football game, that's a big indictment about maybe this team is regressing, going in the wrong direction right now, where I think they should be at least 2-1, not 0-3 at this point in the season.
Yeah, I agree. Eagle, I gotta ask you a question before I give analysis. Are the stats fixed?
No.
We'll get them fixed for winter 2021 too.
Of the top 5 receivers, one thing I can see is that, I don't know if this is accurate or not, so if I'm wrong, whatever. I'm working with the tools I got, man. They don't have a lot of targets going towards female receivers. And co-ed, the strength of your male athletes doesn't matter, because if you don't have strong female athletes, then you're not going to be able to compete because you're playing at a disadvantage. You're playing at a game where you have basically 4 or 5 on the field at a time, right? And I'm guessing here Laurence Pontbriand is a woman, right?
We don't know, but likely.
I don't know, but likely. There's no picture yet. Excuse me if I'm wrong. Again, I haven't seen the team in person yet, so I'm going by just some basic information here. I think this might be the issue. Like, is Seth Galena playing with 4 receivers at a time?
So you're saying essentially he's handcuffed by having only 4,
like
but not really 5 on the field.
He's not finding a way to integrate them, it seems like.
Right,
like
that's
in 3 games, like, Laurence has only 4 targets, and I mean, I don't have the stats for Maud Lacasse and for Anna Chevrier, because our website is.
I can get them for you. Yeah.
Well, she has 5 receptions. So anyway,
Maud has 5 receptions for 72 yards, and
I'm so frustrated by our site. I'm sorry.
Anna has 1 reception for 16 yards.
So look, what we do with FPF is amazing. We're continuously, pushing the envelope, pressing the envelope. I forget what the expression is. We're doing one of those things to the envelope.
Shit.
We're mailing shit all the time. No, we don't mail, Mo. We don't mail it in. We're always pressing, and it's awesome because we have all these things. We have all these stats. We have the scorekeeping app. We have stats. I remember when I started playing, I'd have to wait almost a week to get my stats. When Mokan does the stats, by midnight, your stats are updated on the page, and like it's awesome. But then once in a while, things just don't work out the way we want, and from a media perspective, it handicaps us. Anyway, I'm done complaining. I'm sorry.
And from a tech perspective, we are also not pleased. Because this is also not in my control.
Eagle and I have had too many conversations about this already.
I've screamed and yelled and bitched, and I've done my part.
Hurricane
we try our best.
So you've seen them all. So is my flawed analysis, because the tools I have are not apt, is my flawed analysis correct? Is Seth Galina enough finding a way to integrate his female receivers in a meaningful way?
It could be. It could be like they have the second worst offense in the entire co-ed, right? With the second least amount of points scored, and they have the second worst defense with the most points allowed this season for Tier 1 and Tier 2. So this isn't a situation where it's only the offense here, Peeze. I mean, we can also do an autopsy on the defense and why they have not been able to play better.
For sure, I was reacting
as recipes.
I was reacting to your initial analysis that said the problem's been the offense, right? So like,
right, no, for sure.
Having not seen it, and given that I don't have all the information,
no, for sure.
That's
does it go hand in hand though on why both O and D have been pathetic?
Yeah,
in this season, right? And so I think
like football's a complementary sport, right? Like if you're not scoring and your defense is constantly on the field,
of course, and that doesn't help.
It's not going to help.
No. The classic Bruce Arians line: "You ain't boozing, you ain't losing." Right? Does that bet? Yeah, he did.
All right, it's a good line. I like it.
It's a great line. I love it. Does that best represent Sriracha hot sauce to their start of the season, Peeze? Because if you look at their start to the year, they're 1-2, but yet they are scoring points, and they're losing, but they they have everything going for them and how they've been competitive this season. And look, at this point, we're only through 3 games, but they're probably one of those type of teams that, hey, they go big or they come up really low at times with how they've done so far this year.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of teams like this in FPF across the board. We talked about EZW forever, and they would make the playoffs every year having a borderline incompetent defense. Of course, that's been regulated. They're no longer that. And Sriracha hot sauce, look, they only gave up 19 to Yin and Yang, right? So Yin and Yang, for a team with Gino DeFazio, a quarterback, with Matthew Peacock, with Justin Weir as a receiver, this is a team that you expect to score 4 or 5 touchdowns a game no matter what. And so I thought this game was going to be a shootout, right? Like when we were talking about it last week, I thought it was going to be a shootout. Yeah. I was wrong. It was a blowout. And in the second half especially, Yin and Yang only able to put up a single score. That, maybe this was the turning point for them. Maybe it just took a couple of weeks to sort of get their FPF legs under them, and maybe they've arrived, and maybe they'll allow 40 points this week. But look, as long as you're scoring 5 touchdowns a week, you have an opportunity to win every game. And what's always impressed me about co-ed is the amount of scoring has always been very high from day one to right now. These offenses always seem to be humming. So that gets them in the conversation because it allows them to keep pace, worst case scenario. And then you're hoping either for a mistake or someone on your team makes a big play.
Well, you look at Vincent Marquis and Tommy Rodley. They've combined for 19 catches on
Were you scared
24 targets, right? 24 targets.
Were you scared of Trojados?
No, I call him Tommy Rodley. That's what I call him.
Okay.
Always call him that.
It's a cool name.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a top tier cool name in FPF, right?
Right. So that's 19 receptions, 8 touchdowns combined. So that's one TD for almost every 2 catches between those 2 guys. Now, Rodley would be going to Sherbrooke training camp, whatever it might be, or CFL camp, who knows. So they might lose him at some point in early August for training camp purposes. Who knows if he's with Sherbrooke? I'm not sure he's going to come up every weekend to play a football game because of the training camp demands that will be put in place for these teams here with COVID and all that. If he's in the CFL, forget about it. He's not coming back for who knows how long. I hope he has a long CFL career. But they have a pretty good core of pass catchers on that team that could really be problematic for the better teams in this division. And that's why, if you ain't boozing, you ain't losing, right? I think that's their motto, and how they can win big or they can win or lose ugly.
Look,
and
the thing is, like, Vincent Marquis, obviously the connection with his brother is big, and I agree. I saw that immediately on the roster that I knew Tommy would probably not be there the entire season. But we saw in this game, Camille Saint-Marie, she didn't get a single target in her first 2 games. She caught 3 passes, 15 yards, and touchdown. Maybe she's going to be that get you out of trouble receiver. She'll be that complimentary receiver to Vincent Marquis. She's starting to establish a role, and it takes a couple of weeks, let's say, for a quarterback to develop that rapport. This maybe was that turning point for them. I think this was a big week in general for this team.
Yeah, and like Bruce Arians said, Peeze, if you ain't boozing, you ain't losing.
I've lived my whole life by that principle.
Of course you have. Best game of the week coming up in co-ed. Semi-Croquants against Funtastic 9, Peeze. Both teams top 2 in their division, 2-1. Give me a quick key in this matchup between these two teams here on who can be 3-1. No picks yet, but who can be 3-1 by the end of this game here and in control of their division going towards the final half of the season.
I'm going to do that sports media thing where I just talk about it in general, then not make a prediction, and then later on make a prediction. That's good. That's good work, Mo. Set me up beautifully there. First of all, I got to say with Funtastic 9, the key is maybe change your team name to the Fun and the Furious, or just, Fun 9. But honestly, the team across the board is talented. Edouard Leroux is having a solid season, although the 7 touchdowns is not the 7 passing touchdowns is not a ton to start the season. They have passing touchdowns from a whole bunch of other people. It's a very confusing. I don't understand if it's like play calls or if it's just people subbing in at random points in the game. But I think the key here is the combination of Guillaume Saint-Jean and Vivian Lessard. Vivian Lessard, again, sort of a possession receiver, kind of like we just talked about Camille Saint-Marie. Similar role. She scored twice already this season. I think she's going to get more and more involved as the season goes on. And for Semi-Croquants, they don't have to change their name, unlike Funtastic 9, because I always like the name to begin with. But I do like what they've done so far, and it's a vast improvement from what we saw last season.
Right.
Marie-Ève Girard being very careful with the ball, 114.7 quarterback rating. So essentially, this is her game plan. She needs to go in and control the pace of the game. There's nothing wrong with being sort of a game manager, and I think that's where she's going to excel and where she has excelled so far this season, and I see that continuing.
Speaking of excelling, Division E.
Did you see where the internet stalled, by the way? We had to buy a lot of time talking about
I saw that. When you do the hand movement, that means you're stalling for something. That's how I know it's with your...
I'm motioning to Eagle. This is pulling back the curtain a little bit. Go ahead. Sorry. What were you saying?
I was going to say, well, speaking of Division E, V-Town team that we spoke about.
The thing we weren't speaking of. Let's speak of it. No, we
weren't. But we'll speak of it now. Look, they claim they are the best team in this division. They took out Oscars Hockey School, which sucks because that's my team. But if you look at the schedule, they're 2-0 right now. They're behind Green Means Go. They'll play them. They'll play Rainmakers later on this season. Is this all smoke and mirrors with V-Town, Peeze, or you buy into the hype that they have redeemed themselves and now look like a serious threat to be a contender in Conference A of their division?
I picked V-Town to win this game. The reason why was because at some point, Oscars Hockey School will make mistakes as a new team in FPF. Matthew Zepitelli, thank you for the follow on Twitter. But more so, what happens in new quarterbacks is you'll have games like this. You'll have games where you just get nothing going. You don't get any of the extra yak. You don't get plays that work out in your favor. They scored 3 times. It's fine. It's an okay game, but V-Town are just as athletic, and they have that extra. I think 2 seasons of just one. They played last winter, right?
Yeah, they played under different names in Fall Cup, and they played the Winter 2020.
That's it. They played 2 seasons before this.
Can I play hot take on this?
Go ahead.
If
Sure,
you
go
have
ahead.
12 attempts, of which 7 completions and 3 of those are touchdowns, and the 5 missed passes or interceptions, aren't you just throwing 40 bombs every single play and succeeding on some and failing on others?
That's to my point. Like that's where it's not a mature team, right? Like it's a team, they're just trying to put up points, and it's worked so far, so let's do it. But the thing is, when you play more and more experienced teams, like, oh, this guy's going deep all the time, we'll take it away, and then what can he do? And look, to your point, Eagle, it works sometimes, and then sometimes it didn't pan up because it's a low efficiency offense.
Well, I'll give you the example. It reminds me of Jimmy Garoppolo in the 2020 NFC title game against Green Bay, where he had only 8 passing attempts, and the Niners ran the ball down the Packers' throats for like 3,100 yards, whatever it was.
Yeah, but it's because you can have a running game, right? Like,
Right, no, but what I'm
4
trying
times
to
in a
imply,
game, if you have
though,
16 plays total in a game, that's not a game.
For sure. But what I'm implying, though, is this, that they can, in their mind, they can keep to that 12 passing attempts as they had in the win on Thursday against Oscar's Hockey School. In terms of what they did of 22 passing attempts, right? But what I'm trying to imply is this, that if they can keep themselves from that passing number going beyond 25 or 30 attempts, I think it works well in their strengths of what they are, that they're not going to be a team that's going to go 40 passing attempts per game, but if they can keep it with there and be effective in those 22 passing attempts, I think they're okay in how they're going to be as a football team moving forward.
I also like the way V-Town spread the ball around too. Like, look at the targets across the people, standard yards and everything, and so that looks promising as well.
But you see, now their schedule, if you look at the V-Town schedule, and again, I forget the order of when they play Green Means Go and Rainmakers, but look, they got Suicide Squad 1-1 right now. Trailer Park Boys, decent team. I see that they can probably have 3, if not 4 losses the rest of the way and be 6-4 going towards the playoffs.
Which, that's fine. That's a good team, right? That's
a big progress, though.
Yeah, that means they're a good team, and I think like I kind of in my mind had them penciled in for like 6-4, 5-5, like you're saying. But again, if they surprise a team like Suicide Squad, for example, or if they surprise, like let's say that's the game Green Means Go stumbles, right? Yeah. And before you know it, they're 7-3 or 8-2, and they're playing sort of like how we were saying all season long, how the Montreal Canadiens were like ahead of schedule. Like they would be ahead of their FPF development at that point, right?
Yeah, but is that house money then, Peeze?
Absolutely.
But
the thing is, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was just last winter where like they really, really struggled. It was Book and Sears.
Oh,
right?
it was terrible, man. Undisciplined.
Yeah. Well, because FPF is not a beer league. It's a league where guys play and they're very competitive, right? And so when you show up, just because you're athletic, everyone's athletic in this league. Everyone can play.
Well, not you.
Not me, but I surround myself with really good athletes.
Well, Eagle's athletic. He had 2 touchdown grabs. That's
true. If only I had Eagle, I would have thrown 8 touchdowns. That's how that works.
And that means Eagle would have been on the winning side of the cannolis.
That's true. But yeah, so that's the thing, is I kind of feel like they thought they could just show up and do damage right away. And
I think
just based on being faster than everyone else, but that rarely pans out in FPF.
Right. I just think now for them, they had the canvas to paint their picture. And I think at first they were just taking all sorts of colors and just trying to make something out of nothing. But now if they can paint within the lines of what their strengths are, yeah, they could go 6-4, maybe 7-3. But look, they came up to me. I thought they wanted to buy flags for me. And they said, we beat Oscar's Hockey School. I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe they lost to these fools. And V-Town's 2-0, and Oscar's Hockey School's 2-1.
Yeah.
You need to come up strong, Oscar. Anyway, look, I saw Melons play. They played Oreos.
So I don't know if you saw my article this week, Mo, but I actually ranked Melons as my 10th team in my power rankings. They hadn't played a team yet, but I gave them the 10th spot because I didn't know who to give it to, and they showed up for their game and won by forfeit. And I was like, you know what? I'll give credit for the guys who actually showed up. So I ranked them at 10, and looks like my flawed thought process paid off, because Oreos to me are the team to beat in the division, and they hung with them for the entire game.
Yeah, and look, Melons had them dead to rights. They had. Yeah. By the way, Melons, coolest uniforms in
I haven't
Division
seen
E.
them yet.
Very cool. If they can send us a picture of it, very cool.
Well, it should be up on our site soon, right? They took
Yeah, it's got that
pictures this
nice
week.
melon pink look to it. It's very nice. I really like the uniforms a lot. But these guys, look, when I first met them, they went to come and get flags for me, and I said, "Hey, man, have fun with it." And like, well, we hope so. And they gave Oreos their best right hook to their jaw, and they had them wobbling at times here. I mean, look, this game was going back and forth. And even Kwesi Gordon-Mall, who was scorekeeping, we were watching them together, and I had my eyes on my field. But he said Melons should have won this football game. They shot themselves in the foot late in the matchup, and look what happened, right? Orioles, as a great team as they are, figured out a way to come away with a victory when they should have been dead to rights in the water.
I just know something for Oreos. Trey Bentley's on the roster. Do you stay with Justin Charles at quarterback, or do you go to Trey Bentley at quarterback?
Now, look, I'm not going to. I think Trey.
You and I both have a bias in the sense because of his dad, because he's a legendary Montreal coach. But
his dad. Let me tell you something about his dad. Okay, so I don't care if I get into crap, right? I remember his dad would keep his son's stats for junior football.
Yeah.
And also I'd keep the stats for the league, right? And I remember one time he came up to me. He goes, "Hey, I had Trey at this number of completions, touchdowns, and yards." And I looked at him. I go, "Excuse me, what?" He goes, "Yeah, he was 12 of 16 for 180 and 4 touchdown passes." And I looked at him. I go, "What is wrong with you, dude? Like, this is a recreational kids football league, man. He ain't getting a scholarship from Alabama, from Oregon. He ain't getting Texas coming looking at him right now. Maybe down the road he will." So when I think of Trey Bentley, this thing of his dad come up to me, give me his stats, I'm like, bro, relax, man. Let him enjoy the game. But by the way, if he plays for the Orioles as a quarterback, oh boy, that guy's gonna put some major stats. Yeah, major stats.
Like, so I actually, again, I haven't seen Justin Charles throw. I've seen Trey Bentley throw. I'm legitimately curious to see what they'll do. What do you think they should do though? Like, they're 3-0 with Justin Charles, but you've seen Justin Charles play. Is he at the same caliber as Trey Bentley?
No, he's not at Trey Bentley's level of quarterback IQ of success, but Justin Charles is a very good quarterback for what he presents. Now, I think Trey is cleaner in terms of the turnover ratio, but I think from what they built so far through the first few games, and even Juwan Edgehill, whose brother plays on the team, Juwan even said, he goes, right now, that rapport, that telepathy that they have on offense right now of how they work and how they're in sync, don't mess with it, man. You know, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? So let it be until further notice. If things go awry where Peeze, Justin Charles they go 0-4, they lose by 45 points.
It won't the team is overwhelming. It won't happen.
Yeah.
But I noticed that, and I was like, just the knowledge that he has as a quarterback, having been Coach Bentley's son, it's a lot that he brings to the table on top of his physical skill set.
Right. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of myself here. Right? They're 3-0, the first team to 3 wins right now in Division E. If they were to win Div E, Peeze,
they should.
What does that say about Division E? Or what does that say about the Junior League? That, hey, it's producing talent, or that Division E is...
Well, it's what we want from FPF Junior, right? We want it to be a pipeline into FPF. And, like, youth should win over old people. Like... Never did I look at my grandmother and be like, she'd whip me in a race, but she might.
Okay, so let's just say they don't win the championship, right? What is considered to be a successful season for the Orioles? 1 round, 2 rounds, conference title game, or finals?
1 seed and at least 2 playoff wins for me is what I expect from that roster.
Okay, no, I think
I know it's a lot of pressure, but like to me,
definitely tremendous.
Again, they're not familiar to a lot of people in the division in FPF, the men's league, but you and I are more familiar with FPF Junior, and these are like the stars of FPF Junior, right? Like, these are some of the best players in the division, right? Like, Jaden Edgehill is going to do serious damage in this league for a long time.
Now, Eagle, clip this right now. This next question for Peeze and I. If Green Means Go played Orioles right now for the Division E title, who's the favorite, Peeze?
I give the edge to Orioles. They're a better team. I like so like just the knowledge of Dave Allen is impressive, right? Like we all know that, and the team itself is good. It's not a bad team by any stretch. It just there's people on the side of Oreos that nobody on Green Beans Go can keep up with.
Not even Conrad Keeble, our very own Conrad Keeble.
Yeah, no. You think he's running with Jaden Edgehill?
Nope, I'm just saying.
You think he's running with Trey Bentley? Like, no.
This
Like their quarterback, the Orioles quarterback would be the fastest guy on Green Beans Go by a lot.
It would be fascinating if we had that matchup in the final.
I hope that's the matchup because it's going to be a great game, right? Like
I hope
it's
so,
the
too.
ultimate. It's the ultimate. Like and look here, I would favor Oreos. I would pick Oreos in that game, but would I be surprised if Green Beans Go beat the rookie upstart? No, of course not, because they're experienced. But to me, like Oreos are coming, and like if they don't win the championship now, they're gonna win it. Like they have a window here that's essentially infinite because of how young they are.
Speaking of hitting it, Stan Marino of Dilly, receiving touchdowns is off to a flyer. He's on pace for 30, but I think that's unrealistic here for a receiver at that clip.
What's Adam Crystal's record? 26?
28?
I would check the record.
It's about.
I think it's 28, right? But
where could people find the records?
It's in our accolades on our website, so there's a record book in there. You can go.
Phenomenal.
You can
Stan
put it up on the
Marino,
screen while we're talking about it.
I can. I'm also looking to see what the individual season records are.
Perfect. Stan Marino, can he hit 20 touchdowns? I think he can.
It is 35, by the way.
By Adam Crystal?
Yeah.
How many?
Okay,
Sorry?
so
35.
35. Jesus. I forgot how dominant the season that was.
Can Marino hit 20? I think he can.
20's hard, man. Because it's at some point you imagine that defenses will start keying in on him, right? And they'll start to force the quarterback to go elsewhere. I don't know. It's a terrible. I think like it's more realistic for him to end with like 17, 18 kind of thing, than end with 20, because 20 is just a ton of touchdowns.
Because he's averaging one touchdown gap for every like 1.2 receptions.
But like if like, and again, it comes down to who he plays against and if the teams are experienced enough to know how to take him away. But like if I'm playing against that dude, beat us with somebody else.
Okay, so here
You're facing a double every play.
The Chevalier de Rohan coming up. I think they'll run through them.
Yeah.
Blast from the pass. I think they can do it. I think the Ravens will
Blast
give them
from the pass
the
won't
toughest
allow
challenge.
2 touchdowns to Stan Marino. I'd be very surprised.
Right.
And now
And
you'll score
Ravens-
3, and we'll cut this up, and Peeze is gonna look stupid. Ha 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 ha! You all win. Shut up.
Right, but he's
Happy
got Ravens and he's got Ravens and Orioles coming up later on in the season. So those might be his 2 toughest defenses he might go up
Yeah.
against.
Ravens especially.
But if he can poach 3 touchdowns this weekend, that puts him at 9 with 7 games or 6 games to go to hit 11 more.
It would have to be a situation like with Adam Crystal, who was getting force-fed the ball, right? Like
Who's his
that's how they
quarterback
got
again?
35. I can't remember his name.
Smoller?
Smaller, Justin Smaller.
Just Smoller, right? Okay.
There we go. That's what we need. GM just on a permanent call, just to answer
Like
those
Gazoo,
questions.
he pops up like Gazoo in the old Flintstones show, right? Like on our over our shoulder and stuff.
Nice, it's a good pull, Mo.
Yeah.
No one on
That
Orioles
team
knows
also
who you're
had
talking about.
that team was cracked, by the way.
Yeah.
It had Leonowski, Verger, Chiriat, and McLaren and Curry on it.
I want to
too.
say it was pre-cap era.
Oh, for sure.
That is what you call like the most polarizing cast of characters on that roster.
Yeah. So the thing is though,
With Marino, yes.
I will say with Dilly, this is a team we're gonna start paying more attention to because they haven't really faced a team we recognize yet. So once they reach that middle section where they face, Blast from the Past and Ravens, we're gonna get some more information on them. But if you take away Stan Marino, they do have Ricardo De Rosier, who's excellent.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic receiver. So, this is going to be a good team even if you do take it away. I just think that at some point, pride takes over. Like if a guy comes into the game, it's week 4 and he has 9 touchdowns. To your point, Mo, like there's no way blast from the past are gonna not keep a safety over the top of him all the time.
Yeah, I think he might go Barron against Ravens though. That defense is pretty good.
At that point, you just man up Matthew Hood and say like, "Go, try it."
Yeah, like you put the Ool Boys, one of them on him. It's like, you know. But anyway, I think he has.
I would go flag Jesus, Matthew Hood.
No longer.
No longer. I know he's always flag Jesus in my heart, though. He's got
Jesus. Some mullet going on with the glasses. But anyway, look for Division C. I'm going to switch it up here. Andrew Langburt, a guy that we know very well, a man who's played quarterback, has had success as a two-way player in this league. I don't know what it is, Peeze, but this year as a quarterback, he looks tentative out there. Like he doesn't look like a comfortable thrower of the football. And I've kept this.
That's really weird.
It's weird, yes. But Peeze, the point I'm going to get to is this: it's like he holds onto the ball, doesn't trust his reads enough, and his last win that he had against Le Santerre, he was saved by D'Andre Borden making 2 acrobatic but emphatic catches that put them over the top. And if you look at his numbers now, he's on pace to having the most INTs thrown in a career in a season by him in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He
also has a 102 quarterback rating, right? Like he's not playing bad. He's been fine.
But but the completion numbers aren't up to standard of what he normally is. Like he likes to get those completion numbers going up. I mean, there's one play, and I remember this that I saw vividly last Thursday. He was being pressured, and he was on his right side. And he had Marco Bottoli essentially open up towards the left side, going towards the sun where I was positioned. He looked at him, he hesitated, and he went to his right and threw it away. You know, I'm like, dude, like make that throw. Trust your reads and don't be hesitant, because if you are, you will get caught for it. And he got caught week 1 and nearly got caught in week 2 by the Santar, who could not figure themselves out on how to win a game.
Is it just the COVID hangover? Is it just like not having read a defense in a while?
It could be, but he's just made some really funky like decisions, Peeze. I mean, some of the throws, like he in his first game, he had some bad throws that led to INTs. In this game against the Santerre, it was back and forth. But then in the second half, Santerre just ran out of gas. And look, that's a good team they have on Sheesh. It's not a bad team at all.
No, not at all.
But I thought in their first 2 games they should have, run through it. But again, I just think for Andrew Langburt, if they're going to make that step up, he's got to play better as a quarterback moving forward.
I told you, my love for D'Andre Borden because I've known him since he was 6. So, like, I know how good D'Andre is. I know how good a tackle player he was. I know how good he is in FPF. And I've played with him on top of that. They also have Vincent Benjamin. When Alex Hollowak was scorekeeping a Division E game, he turned to me and he said, "Who the F is that?" And I said, "He's good, huh?" And I remember you and I had an argument on this show about it because a Division 1 quarterback turned to me and said, "That guy could play Division 1 now. Right now." Like he had whether or not it would take him time to adjust, he won't be the best receiver on the team. But he won't be a liability to a team in Division 1 now. That's the caliber of guys that Andrew Langburt has on his team. And that's not to mention, again, he's always open, dude. Always. I've never seen him covered in the 10 years I've been in FEF.
Yeah, and I just think, look, they'll figure it out, Peeze, right?
Yeah.
But they're just off to like an unorthodox start.
To win a game while you're still figuring it out is the greatest blessing, right? Because if you go 0-2, you need to figure it out quick. Here you have a little bit of leniency, and they play Les Gros Coqs, who are sort of like one of the, let's say, lesser tier teams in the division, right? So
yeah,
before they go on to play Blessed. So before they have their big matchup, they have one game that I think that's the one's going to right the ship.
Yeah, I think, look, Sheesh will invite themselves into the top 4 of this division.
Yeah.
They'll be top 4 seed, I think. I
told you on the first show of the season. Yeah. I saw it. I loved it. I love the roster. To me, they're poised to be the best, one of the best.
Oh, did we go off air? Oh, someone's mic's off right now.
Eagle muted himself, but also muted me, unfortunately.
Man, Eagle's off to a flyer, man, this season. Eleni muting himself. 2 touchdown grabs.
2 touchdowns, though, and a sack.
Exactly. Look, we have a bunch of teams at 0-2, 0-3. Mongoose, Silent Ticklers, Balls Deep, Easy W, Peeze. Out of those 4 teams, Mongoose, Ticklers, Balls Deep, Easy W, who will be the last one to win a game this season?
Man, so like I talked about how Easy W kind of fixed their defense, but they've given up 110 points in 3 games. So as much as it's better than it's been, you can't. That's too much pressure you're putting on your offense, right? Like, I think they're gonna struggle if they continue to play this way. And when I look at the Silent Ticklers roster, the top end talent of Adam Rosen, Charles Presser, Gérard Verger, is great, and Jordan Panetta. We a lot of us question why he was throwing in this division, but there's something missing on the team, and I can't quite put it together. Like I don't even know how I would fix the problem.
I haven't seen them play yet. Ticklers. I mean, I've seen the IG posts right on Instagram of the highlights.
55 points to B-ballers.
And look, I'm not saying B-ballers are easy. They're a good team. There's no shame.
Think of the fact that they were a year ago were in Division E.
Yeah, no shame to lose to B-ballers.
No, they're incredible.
There's no shame. But when I look at these 4 teams, this quartet of teams left.
Mango's defense is good enough to get them a couple of wins on defense.
Yeah, I think Easy W can get out of this rut and get themselves back into contention of competing for a 7 or 8 seed.
But dude, a minus 46 point difference.
I know, but I still know what the problem is with these guys. I don't know why, but this is typical DNA of this team. They've been slow starters out of the gates, Peeze that we've seen in years past. They're kind of like Jagerbomb, right? Slow starters.
They played against Top Sauce, right? They played against Top Sauce this week. Top Sauce made the switch to Patrick Jason at quarterback after Vince Nardone.
Is this permanent or no?
I believe it's permanent because Vince Nardone's, as far as I know, is not comfortable throwing in the division. The conversation I had with Jim Calethris was that Patrick Jason was going to take over. And look, I mean, the best situation to take over when you're a quarterback that's a little bit out of his depth is you take over with, you have Chris Meillard and Vince Nardone and, GM himself and Darnell, Kevis Riley. That's a good team, right? Like he has threats all around him, but he's going to make mistakes. He threw 3 interceptions this game, right? So you cause the turnovers, but you lose to a team that basically started the season on the ropes. Like you had a chance to really ostensibly end Top Sauce this season, 3 weeks in, and then you let them off the hook. That's worrisome because with the state that the team was in, I thought Easy W wins that game. Right.
So when we look ahead now, Balls Deep plays Top Sauce this week in Brossard.
Yeah.
Who needs this victory even more?
I mean, well, Balls Deep statistically does, but
right, but again, we look at Top Sauce and their question marks that they have. Do you trust Patrick Jason to be the Messiah to solve their quarterback ills going forward?
Here's the thing: the strength of Balls Deep's defense is actually a guy that isn't talked about nearly enough in FPF circles. It's Curdley Mikul. Curdley is an incredible defender, period, but he's a very good rusher. He's got 3 sacks already. Patrick Jason is not at a point where he can process reads quick enough, so he needs to use his legs, and Curdley is going to take that away. So it's going to be a difficult matchup for Top Sauce.
If he plays, because he didn't play for Balls Deep this past week in week 3.
He's played 2 games, though. My assumption is he's on the team.
Yeah, I just think, look, I think this is much more needed for Top Sauce because ECW right now, big part now, Balls Deep has a bit of, I wouldn't say dissension within the ranks, but they're not on the same page. But they have the talent there to kind of turn it around and make a run for it. But I just think for Top Sauce, from what I saw from the week 1 beatdown they took, I'm just not confident about that pivot position piece because you're right. They have the arsenal to work with.
So I have a question.
But it's the guy who's, Top Sauce.
Yeah.
But it's the guy who's pulling the trigger on that gun. Can he get that ball to those playmakers? I don't think he can. As Jason is a great guy, great defensive player, but I don't know how he is as a quarterback with a bigger sample to work with moving forward.
I think he'll be fine just because, again, he has a lot of talent around him. He's going to make mistakes along the way, which is understandable for a quarterback throwing in the division for the first time. I have a specific question about Top Sauce. So Vince Nardone right now struggled, and by his own admission said he doesn't feel as though he can compete as a quarterback in Division C. I've seen Vince Nardone play quarterback. You've seen Vince Nardone play quarterback.
Absolutely.
He can't play in Division D. So where is his home moving forward as a quarterback? Because if the top guys right now in Division D are guys like me and Ben McMahon, Vince Nardone's a good deal better than that, right?
He'll play in half, like half C, half D,
But that's what I'm saying. That division doesn't exist, right? I guess because Division C is a little bit better in Division 4, but like he's got to be locked at Division 4, right? Like, so what's
he's in no man's land right now.
What's the future for him as quarterback?
It's that old adage that they use in basketball where he's too small to be a 4, but he's too big to be a 3.
No longer the argument anymore in the NBA.
No, but you know what I'm saying though, right? Like the old adage that, or even now, right? Like how it is, like, oh, a big man can't play in today's game, right? Well, I think for Vince Nardone now is the question is if he's still committed to the quarterback position, he might have to bite the bullet and take his licks this year if he does come back to it. I don't think he will, but if he does go back to it down the road, wherever division he plays, and kind of grow from there. Because that's what he did his first time, guys. You remember he took his licks early on as a quarterback. Then he progressively got better and better and better. And then obviously coaching commitments came out for Concordia and for the Alouettes. So he wasn't in the league as often or wasn't there for the full year and became a receiver, camo receiver. So I think he's going to have to go back to square one, take his licks, and then perhaps stick out there as being a quarterback of a higher division down the road.
So here's the thing, though. So if his plan is to play quarterback in the future, then this season's not helping him improve either. It's just a weird situation to be in. I thought it was
he's in no man's land right now.
Nuanced conversation. Sorry?
He's in no man's land. He's a man with no passport right now. He really isn't.
Poor dude.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Dan Lazara.
What's that movie where Tom Hanks gets stuck in the airport? Terminal.
Terminal. Yes. I was going to say Air Terminal. Speaking of quarterbacks, Dan Lazara, who has been on a roll of late. He's been doing very well for himself from an NFL perspective with his Kansas City Chiefs now this year. No longer a Green Bay Packer fan, but he's now a Chiefs fan. We had some highlight reels.
That, by the way. You flip-flop like that. You're not a trustworthy person.
Well, he was using we. We're ready for the season for Kansas City. I'm like, oh, really? We?
Yeah, so if you shake his hand, you better count your fingers.
Exactly. I know firsthand. All right, let's talk about the Lazaro highlights that we have lined up here. This is a guy who I think, as I said to you guys, week one, he's looked much more relaxed in the quarterback position. They got a big game coming against Braves, which we'll dive into right now as we get the highlights lined up here, courtesy of AJ Gomes' girlfriend, Christina. And here's the first play. Look at his feet, Peeze. Look at the feet.
Happy feet.
Position. And look at that touch and that throw to AJ Gomes.
I get so mad.
Can you say that again, please?
Oh, we're going to do them in the loop.
We're going to do the loop. Okay, and here we go. Now, here's the second touchdown pass. Watch his hips here. Watch the hips. Opens them up. Great placement of the ball to Isaiah Lard. And now the third play, watch his hips on the pass rush coming up here. And look at his eyes. Never taking his eyes off the downfield options. Watch the hips. Wait. Right here. What? Eyes still downfield, Peeze.
Yeah.
Cross body throw.
Yeah, his talent annoys me.
Yeah, but you know what, Peeze? Look, he's more agile now than before. His touch on his throws.
When you say before, which specific season do you mean?
Well, I mean, look, he looks more fleet of foot now than before. But the point I'm bringing up, though, is that this Dan Lazare today, I think, can slay the Dragon in what they call the Braves when they play each other Sunday in Lachine.
Yeah, game of the week. It's not actually, but it's the FPF game of the week in terms of like.
You see that play right now where his hips just evaded the rush, right?
So, but the thing is,
2 years ago, that's not happening.
When Dan Lazare was a tackle quarterback, he was a mobile quarterback. That was his thing. He was too short to just sit in the pocket, right? So he moved around a lot, and he learned to throw the ball from different platforms. He learned to throw the ball from to reset his feet, to move his hips, like you're saying, and drive the ball downfield, and to keep his head and his eyes downfield, so that he can make those plays happen, right? So the point I think you're trying to make is Dan Lasagna no more. Dan's lost some weight. He looks really good. Like, we're not talking shit at all. Like, I think he looks good. I saw him at, I think it was week 1. I saw him from a distance. And I was like, oh, Dan's looking really good these days. That's awesome. He did the opposite of most people in quarantine. He slimmed down, and it's allowing him to play a style that I think always was what he did best, was his ability to, again, throw from all these different platforms, and ability to still attack downfield from different parts within sort of like the quote-unquote pocket. There's not really a pocket in FPF, but you know what I mean? To be able to reset and throw downfield. I always thought that's something he did really well, and it looks as though he's regained that ability after shedding, a couple of pounds.
So who has the better supporting cast going into this game? Braves or Khantraband?
1A, 1B. I like the Khantraband roster. I've been a Dan Lazare apologist from day one, from his Division 5 days. I've always been a fan. I've always liked him. But adding David Santomo, I think, was a great addition. They have speed with Serge Pilon, Nick Gomez Rizzo, AJ Gomes, and then obviously the size with guys like Santomo himself, who's a bigger dude. Isaiah Lard's who's a tall dude. So like, and even AJ Gomes. We talked about him as a speed receiver, but he's also tall, right? Like, he can go up and get the ball. Very rangy type receiver. He has all the pieces, and they're all pieces that specifically fit his offense well. This is, to me, the best group of talents since he had the Division B team, Stars or Superstars.
Stardust Island, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Treasure Island, Vegas, Casinos, whatever it was.
Pirate Island, whatever it's called back in the day.
Before their obsession with Yumo.
Yeah, exactly. They really want me to sponsor the team, which I have yet to commit. But I look at the Georges Gariepy, AJ Gomes battle. I know they won't go head-to-head, but both alpha receivers, both different style of receivers, but again, both have had box office appeal to how they play on the field.
Yeah.
I think George Gariepy can definitely be problems for the Khantraband defense. But if AJ calls the right defense, you won't stop him, but you might contain him for a while. And that might open up for Mike Pearson and Cochin and these other guys to step up and become more of an influential role for the game on Sunday.
They're two of the stars in FPF. It's like a summer where you get a Vin Diesel movie and a Nicolas Cage movie. That's the caliber we're looking at. So
this is like Fast and Furious 10 then.
It's Fast 10 and Wicker Man 2 coming out the same summer. That's I would,
But which one do you watch first?
Simultaneously.
No,
simultaneously.
I'm going to throw a wrench to you. Those two movies,
okay,
or No Regard.
Well, I got my ticket already, so I'm going to see No Regard tomorrow. But just the fact that the mere fact that we put them in the same sentence as the Fast and Furious franchise lets you know that it's going to be cinematic history.
I can't wait for when No Regard has like the 10th movie come out of this whole No Regard thing here, kind of like Fast and Furious, like with their whole line of movies. So I can't wait for that to come out like in 2030 over here. So, but back to the points though.
Yeah.
I know they play each other twice. They have one more game, I think, week 7, week 8 of the season.
I think they'll split them. I think they'll split the games.
Yeah, but I think this is a good chance for Khantraband to be the first team to throw that shot their way, be a flamethrower, and really set the tone for at least the middle part of the season.
It reminds me of how D-boys back in the day would build up a roster to beat Montreal's finest, but we've reached a point now where the team to beat an FPF is Braves, and you see it specifically with Dan Lazara every year constructing a team slightly better, and every year he's going out there to give Braves just a punch in the jaw every time, and I think this is the team.
They tormented him.
Sorry?
And they tormented him.
Yeah. And he wants revenge. Like it's plain and simple.
Yeah. I forget, Eagle, I wish I had GM here, but did he not throw 4 INTs against the Braves in Division 2 final?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it sounded a little bit like...
You guys always bring up that one game.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's where it began, though, right? Yes. The ultimate demon in Lazara's closet,
But to his credit, didn't complain. Oh, I need to move down. I can't compete. No. He kept moving up. He kept surrounding himself with talent.
Yep.
And Eagle's shaking his head, but okay, maybe he did for one season. But overall, to his credit, moved up and kept making his team stronger and stronger. Committing to, again, we talked about his commitment to losing a bit of weight and being able to be a better version of himself in FPF. What is there to hate?
For sure. Who's the second best team in Division B?
The second best team in Division B.
After Urgence Medic. They're number one. I think we
you don't want to go with Urgence Medic as the second best team?
No. But in Division B, you got Get Off RD, Junkyard Dogs, BYOB, and KGP right now.
It's going to end up being KGP just because Cutler is going to do weird Cutler things, right? Like, we're not going to pick him. He's going to end up with the second best record, and we're not going to understand why, but whatever. I'm going to actually go I'm a big fan of BYOB. I've been a Matt Rene fan.
Even though he had a stinker of a loss, though.
Yeah, that's going to happen. And look, it was still a competitive game, right? So, like, something goes another way, and, he threw 4 interceptions. Right? If he just throws 3, they're in this game. They could still win this game if he just throws 3 interceptions. That's how good the team is. He's not going to play that bad very often.
If KGP has Quasar Guatemala on their roster, it just changes the outlook of that team's ability on offense and defense because he's a speed guy.
I get it. They should still be the weakest roster in the division, but they're not. Right? Like
no, but Quasi just does whether he does any damage, statistically speaking here, it's just his presence on the field with his speed to open up the defenses.
Okay, but so other than Jeff Rosenblatt and Quasi Guatemala, and obviously Cutler. I always just call him Cutler because I'm always close to calling him Jay Cutler every time.
I always think of cutlets when I think
of
that's
a compliment or an insult.
I mean, depends.
I think a cutlet
factor, it's a compliment because nobody's as cool as Jay Cutler. Quarterbacking,
what about wide receiver?
Well, he gives. I'm sure Phil gives more of an effort than Jay Cutler. But yeah, like other than those 3 guys, and one of them being the quarterback. There's not really a ton of upper division experience, which again I know is not the end of the world, but it's also they're kind of like a team in between where like they also don't have a ton of young up and coming talent that's ready for the scene just yet either. So like they always strike me as a team in between, but they always play above their skill level.
Yeah, I mean, like for KGP, they have a bunch of possession receivers. There isn't a burner on that team.
Jonathan Garfinkel.
Quasi is a burner.
Jonathan Garfinkel is sort of like he's not as fast.
Great possession receiver.
No, he's fast. He's very fast. He's a guy who
he ain't blowing off tops of defense.
No, but not in that way. But he's the kind of guy who, if he makes a guy miss in space, he's gonna take it to the house.
Right, but if again, not to be repetitive here, but if Quasi's full time, they're the second best team behind Urgence Medic. But if he doesn't, you wonder if Get Off RD can have the horsepower to make a run at the 2 spot right now, because I don't know if I can trust Junkyard Dogs right now. I don't know because they're too up and down with that.
I kind of agree with you. They're I don't know. Like to me, just when I look at BYOB as a roster, it's more complete. It's more complete. That's the main difference between the two teams. But again, I don't think Junkyard Dogs are far, right? Like Paul Lapierre, we know John Submergent. Jean-Christophe Ferland, by the way, is a guy, again, lower division dude who a lot of people don't know. But the team was also counting on Jamel Springer, who's had no games played out of 3.
And you wonder if he's going to play.
And Travis Moses on the roster, no games played. So if you have Jamel Springer and Travis Moses, that's a complete team. They're probably the best roster in the division. But without them, okay, they're good. They're a good team. And they're going to get mad, of course, that we said they're good, which is a weird thing to get mad about, Mo. It's like me saying, Mo, you're a very handsome man. And you're like, what? I'm not super handsome? That's the reaction.
Much sexy? Anyway.
Yeah.
A reminder, we'll remind teams next week, but you need 5 games to be eligible for playoffs. 5 games played to be eligible for the playoffs this year.
And remember, if you're injured and not like critically injured, you're supposed to show up to the field and check in with the score keep. So your captain should be adding you to the roster list as DNP or injured essentially. And you have to go see the score keep to say, hi, here's who I am. I'm here, to make sure you get your game played.
And
exactly.
I've had this experience this season. Captains, if you have guys who don't show up, cut their asses.
Yep.
I did it. I did it this week.
Who do you cut?
Look at my roster. You can figure it out. I don't want to call anybody out, but look at my roster.
Oh, come on. Who cares, man? You're at that point. You cut the guy. What's going to happen now? He's going to come after you.
No.
All right,
you're in a garage.
Peeze, you don't have to do it. I'll do it. Mo,
you're in a shipping container in Northville.
Your 25% completion percentage just isn't going to cut it. I know Peeze wanted to replace himself and go back on offense, but
I was going to go snap,
We're going to go in a different direction with the Hot Size franchise.
All right. It is now time for
Games of the Week.
Slowest 4
okay,
minutes.
so Peeze, so we had we had the Excel sheet, right? Out of who's done what per division.
Thank you, Iggy. Yeah.
So I just want to point out, right?
Smashing you
by 1 game. Okay?
Smashing you.
If you look at the breakdown of who's won each division, like the U.S. presidential race with state by state, you might have won Florida, Peeze, but I've won Georgia, I've won Arizona, I've won Nevada, I've won North Carolina, I have 5.
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like you're going to refuse to take my victory and then become a traitor to FPF and march on the studio.
Eagle,
you realize Florida has 29 electoral college votes,
sheet,
right?
Please. Yeah, hold on. Get that sheet up, please, of the standings of who's done what.
I don't have it handy, so no.
It's on the Facebook group.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's on the Facebook group, please.
I don't have it, nor do I want to
get it. Just get it up for us,
Get it
please.
for the end of the segment.
I hate you guys.
While you're calling out all the games. Slowest 4 minutes.
All right, you boys ready for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Here we go.
Where's the music?
There is music.
Oh.
Division A and B. BYOB versus KGP.
Well, I got to say BYOB, right? Given my analysis in the last segment. BYOB.
KGP.
You said KGP, Mo?
Yeah.
Yeah, KGP.
Okay. Here for the beers, Junkyard Dogs.
JYD.
Junkyard Dogs as well.
All right. The potential game of the week on this division. Braves versus Khantraband.
They're not actually potential game of the week for game of the week purposes,
no.
but yes. I'm going to go Khantraband for this one.
I will second that. Khantraband.
And Urgence Medic versus Chernobyl 21.
UM.
Yeah, I think UM's going to beat them 0-4. Here they come for Chernobyl.
Rough.
And Get Off Our D versus All Stars.
All Stars for me.
Yeah, All Stars are going to run through these guys.
All right. Division C. Mangoose versus Silent Ticklers.
This is the battle of 0-4s, no?
0-2s, yeah.
I'm going to go Silent Ticklers on this.
Mangoose.
B-Ballers versus Blessed.
Ooh.
This is a good game. And Blessed sent me their roster like 2 hours ago, so.
Gee, they're ready.
Oh man, I think they're in a hotel in Brasov right now, getting ready for the game day meal tomorrow morning.
I'll do it. I'll go B-Ballers.
Man, this is a really good game.
Great game. Great game.
Man, this is really a tongue twister. I will go with Blessed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Top
And a close
sauce
one.
versus balls deep.
Top sauce.
Balls deep. Give me Curly. Give me Curly shutting down Pat Jason.
Sheesh versus Les Gros Coq.
Shush.
Sheesh.
Les Centaures versus Blue Dreamers.
Blue Dreamers.
Blue Dreamer. Santar's offense just looks
The opposite
bad.
of Blue Dreamers.
The
Yeah.
South Harmon Institute of Technology versus Easy W.
Shit.
Yeah, I agree. No, I don't like it though, but I agree.
All right, Division D. PDs and Negronis versus the New Guys.
New guys.
New guys. That defense is
Blackouts
wicked.
versus Les Bleus Branleurs.
Defensive battle.
Yeah, this is gonna be a close one. LBB really brought it last week, but I will go Blackouts.
Blackouts for me.
Kiss My End Zone versus Tough Lungs.
Tough lungs. It'll be a close game though.
Pardon My Swag Loyola.
PMS.
Pardon my swag.
PMS
Lock-
because Brad Evans and that team is playing with more resilience than before.
Hawaiian shirt. Lockdown versus Bruins.
I don't like what lockdown looks like so far. You allowed 42 points to me, so imagine what Bruins will do
I
to
had
you.
2 guys who injured on the first 4 plays.
And I don't know what their health. Give me Bruins.
Yeah, well, what's the hold on? Insider information, Eagle. What's going on with the health status of your team?
They have lower body injuries.
Penis.
So what's the deal? Are they questionable or are they doubtful for the next game?
They're day to day.
Okay, are they questionable or doubtful for the game?
They're day to day.
Remember, Tom Gatehouse has no soul.
He plays on the team. I forgot the water boy. I'm gonna go with Bruins.
All right. Mean Girls, Trap Stars.
I'm gonna go with Mean Girls.
I'm going Trap Stars.
Clinkers, Tuts, and Parlays.
That's
Hate to do it, but Tuts and Parlays. You pick the same one?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you cut out for a sec.
The Stoics versus Johnny Fireball.
Fireball.
I'm gonna go Johnny Fireball, but I don't like it. I feel like it's a trap game. I feel Stoics will win, but give me Johnny Fireball because I like gambling.
Sparrow's Legion, Glow Gang.
Glow Gang.
I'm gonna go Spurs Legion because Glow Gang still hasn't figured out their situation on offense.
That defense, though, against Vince Pisano's still new to the division, right?
Yeah.
He also lost some weight. He looks great.
Yeah, he does. By the way,
As
his
the show
daughter,
ages, we're just gonna be a show talking about other dudes losing weight.
about his daughter, great cause to raise money for Alzheimer's, making lasagnas. I had one fantastic. I recommend everyone to go see Vince Pisano for lasagna.
All right. The Fighting Alini, Voodoo.
Eleni.
Eleni. They let me down last week, though.
Leftovers, Arush. I mean,
What?
I have Arush as leftovers, so.
Yeah, I haven't had it in a long time. Eagle, let's do it for next time when I come in the studio. Get some vegetarian arouche for me, please.
That sounds good.
Leftovers.
Mo, who'd you take?
Arouche.
All right.
Low key, one of the best shows ever made on TV. The Leftovers.
There we go. Los Siete Amigos versus Top Season.
Los Siete Amigos.
Yeah, I think Amigos are going to do it as well. Yeah, I agree.
Replacements, Vultures.
Vultures, but it'll be close.
I'm going to go replacements.
Okay. And Ball in 60s versus Hot Sauce Sports.
I can't pick it, but Hot Sauce Sports by 60. Oh wait, 50.
I'm going to pick Hot Sauce
50.
Sports to continue on their high end here. So give me Hot Sauce to
So
give
I'll
the ball
crumble
60.
next week, is what you're saying, Mo. Not this week. I'll start crumbling.
Yeah,
next
I'm not
week.
scoring your game, so I'm not too sure how this is going to play out. But
We'll see.
give me Hot Sauce.
All right. Division E, Pincello's Brewers.
Brewers.
Yeah, I'm going to go Brewers on this one.
Balls Deep versus Quantrium FFC.
Quantrium FFC. The douchiest.
Balls
name in
deep.
FPF.
Okay. Ravens versus Green Means Go.
Ravens.
Great game.
Yeah, but sorry, Dave. Ravens.
I'm going with Ravens as well.
Okie dokes. We got Oscars Hockey School versus Menace to Sobriety.
Well, you know
No,
who
I'm
you're
taking
gonna pick.
Oscars. I'm taking the
gonna go-
Oscars, boys.
I saw Menace to Sobriety this week. I'm going to go Oscars Hockey School as well. They just don't have it yet.
Les Chevaliers du Rohan versus Dilly.
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 Another 3 touchdowns for our boy.
V-Town Suicide Squad.
This could be a trap game.
Suicide Squad.
You know what? I'm going to go with V-Town. These boys better come through.
All right. Oreos Blast from the Past.
Oreos.
Trailer Park Boys Rainmakers.
Rainmakers.
You got Rainmakers.
And that's the game of the week, by the way, right? Rainmakers.
Should be.
versus
Right
Boy,
now,
maybe, yes.
you know what? Maybe.
Save the Turtles versus Melons.
Okay, so here, hold on, quickly here. See the Turtles, I watched them play. They're good.
Yeah.
They have this really good player on this team, number 20. I forget his name right now. But long story short, good defense. If you can figure out an offense, they'll be competitive. But give me Melons to win this football game.
All right.
I think Melons will win this as well.
And last Division E game, Les Mythiques versus the Bad Batch.
I don't know what to make of Les Mythiques. They played a game without Etienne, whose last name I forget. Etienne Quentin. They had him this week. They did not do well without him. They did not do well with his return. So I don't know what to make of them. So I'm going to choose against them.
I'm going Bad Batch.
Co-ed
Bad Batch
division.
is who I was going with, yeah.
Co-ed division. So third down for what versus Party Mix?
Third down for what?
Les Semi-Croquants versus Funtastic 9.
Great game. Battle for first place in that division. I'm going to go with Semi-Croquants to win that game.
Give me not quite croquant.
Power Rangers Fightin Tigers.
Fightin Tigers got to win at some point, right? Give me Power Rangers.
Give me Power Rangers.
Sriracha Hot Chili Sauce La Secte.
Sriracha.
And Yin and Yang versus Power Rangers. So, full disclosure, this is a back-to-back game for Power Rangers after their game against the Tigers.
Give me Power Rangers.
Give me Power Rangers as well. Mo, the number 20 you're referring to is a gentleman by the name of Vincent Chung.
Thank you, yes.
Vincent Chung in 13 games in his FPF career has 12 catches, and 5 of those have gone for touchdowns.
Well, there we
Look at his defensive stats.
Oh,
He's a
more
monster
of a
in
defense
defense. Yeah, I believe he had a couple of INTs in the game.
He has, well, he has exactly a couple in his career, and he has 6 sacks to add to that too.
Yeah, they have a good defense. The offense is a little bit off, but if they can get their offense figured out, they'll be okay.
Great.
And that's it for this week, boys. We got a long one here, but it was good.
That's an hour and a half.
Yeah, but look, it is what it is. We're gonna have these long ones. We might as well go the long distance here. But anyway,
if you want your content featured, feel free to send it in to us. Tag us on Instagram, Twitter, put it on Facebook, Google Drive. Do we have a TikTok? No, but we will.
No.
Put it in Peeze's inbox. Put it in Mo's DMs. Put it in my butt. Anywhere you want to put content, we'll take it.
Wherever you want to slide into it.
I'll be back in studio soon. I get my second shot in the coming days here.
I can't wait.
And
very excited.
we will be together again as a platonic menage a trois as we have been for the last couple of seasons.
Sometimes not even platonic. Mo, do you think people realize how difficult this is to do with one of us remote? Like it's harder when both of us.
Yeah.
Remote, but
yeah, it's tough. But we'll be back together. As a trio sooner than later in the shipping container. And can't wait for that. But again, we are now past the week 3, week 4 coming up. So we'll have an amazing set of games this weekend going into next week. And then we'll recap that and preview it again. And as Eagle said, send us your content. If you have videos, you have highlights of your game or games that you've watched, send to us. We'll play it on this podcast all throughout the season. Magic words, please.
Chris Paul is a top 10 point guard of all time.
Good night, Ben Simmons.
And good night, England. Forza Azzurri!
Racist assholes.
Thank you.